What's up, guys? Welcome to the middle of the week Rescue Michigan live stream. It's Adam D'Angeli from Rescue Michigan with Shane Trejo, frequent guest, almost co-host, you might say. And we've got things to talk about today. We've got some geopolitics stuff we didn't get to over the weekend stream, and unexpectedly, until maybe middle of this afternoon, the Michigan House of Representatives is still in session as we speak. We have our eye on it. In fact, there they are. They are in session right now, and they've been going since about 6:30 tonight, passing a whole pile of atrocious bills. We did an email blast about it earlier today, including some of them that they've already passed. I'll go through them in a minute. We still have not yet gotten news on the votes for the energy monopoly, Green New Deal bills, and we haven't gotten a vote yet on the abortion on demand bills, which is interesting because that was something like the bills that didn't pass recently, with one Democrat, Karen Whitsett, being a holdout on those. But they have already passed a number of bad bills tonight, and just to go over them with you so you know what has been going on here, there's been some interesting things. The big ones were the misdemeanor gun ban. That passed with, of course, unanimous Democrat support and support from the one of the biggest rhinos in the Republican caucus, Thomas Kuhn, and also Mark Tisdall.
Both from North Oakland County.
Hey, Shane, I do not hear you, buddy. That might be something going on my end. We were having some technical issues before I started, but Paula, we see it in the chat. Hello, Paula. Let me know if you could hear Shane, because it might be an issue with me. Hey, Shane, say something real quick, would you?
Testing.
People in chat, can you hear? Can you hear Shane? Paula says she can. I can't. Okay, well that's going to be a problem. I'm not quite sure what we do about that. Let me think this over for a second here. Nikki, okay, everyone can hear Shane except for me. that would not be good. You know what? Let me try something. Okay, I've got an idea. I am going to move this tab out of this one screen I've got going, which I think is the cause of the problem. And I'm going to turn it off and see if that causes some magic to happen. Let's see here. Hey, Shane, try saying something now, would you?
Can you hear me, Adam?
Okay, that did not work. All right. I'm going to try something daring here. I'm going to try refreshing my page, and this might screw everything up in the whole stream, but let's see. If the stream disconnects, there'll be another one set up right away after this, but let's see. Sorry for this, folks. This is internet things. All right, here we go.
Well, it looks like it's just me now, so happy to be here alone on the Rescue Michigan podcast due to technical difficulties. Okay, Adam, can you hear me now?
I'm here. The stream used to still be up, although I still didn't hear Shane, and he was just saying.
Can you hear me?
Like, okay.
Apparently not.
Hey, Shane, do me a favor. Try reconnecting yourself. Maybe that will do the trick. I don't know. It might help. Let's see. This is weird because StreamYard is supposed to be working so that I can hear my guest and you guys can hear my guest. But if you can hear my guest and I can't, then
Can you hear me now, Adam?
I still don't hear Shane. Oh my God. All right, guys, this is just a dang mess. What am I gonna do here? Edit Shane's mic settings. Okay, let me turn off echo. Well, it won't be a very good discussion if I can't hear my panelist here. What are we gonna do, Shane? I could do something really stupid. If you try calling me, I could put you on speaker. I mean, that'll be retarded, but at least I'll be able to hear you. Annette says terrible background noise. Okay, all right, folks, we got to make an executive decision here because something is completely screwed up. Yeah, Shane says, do you want to restart your computer? And I could ramble for a bit. Okay, let's do this. Let's do that. I will restart my computer. Hopefully I won't lose all of my work. And Shane will talk, and we'll see what happens when I come back. All right, here we go.
All right. Well, Shane Trejo here, alone on the Rescue Michigan podcast. You see, I actually sabotaged his audio and his video feed, so I could have the full podcast to myself for once. But just talk about the legislature and what's going on there. I know that Angela Regas had said on her Facebook post that that there was 55 different 55 different things that were on the agenda today in the House. So they're trying to muscle as many things through as possible. Now I'm hearing there's interference. No idea where that could be. One second. One second here. Is there any sort of interference going right now? Not seeing anything from the chat, so I'm going to keep talking. So yeah, what's going on in the legislature? They're moving everything fast and furious. They want to push everything through, partially because what they want to do is make sure they have as many things through as possible. They might be losing a couple of reps because there are mayoral races that are going on the next week in Westland and Warren. So they might be losing 2 state reps who are in those races and trying to get a more well-paying job as a mayor rather than be a state rep in Lansing and have to deal with all the BS that comes with being a lawmaker. So they might be gone, and after they're gone, that there goes the tiny Democrat majority. So they're not going to have the opportunity to push forward with all these crazy bills potentially. The Republicans, provided the Republicans do the right thing and stay strong, as they very rarely do. You see, as Adam brought up earlier, Representatives Kuhn, Representatives Tisdale, and others, Representative Mike Mueller, and others, Kathy Schmaltz. There are other people there who unfortunately will flip, but it would be potentially more difficult for the Democrats to muscle through their agenda. So they're going fast and furious tonight. They are going, balls out, 55 bills on the agenda. They're going to ram it all through. Might be going to midnight, 1 a.m., just ramrodding it all through. And, it's going to hurt the people of Michigan, obviously. It's going to consolidate their power. It's going to take it's going to take rights away from the individual, and it's going to give more power to government. It's probably inevitable that these things are going to pass. I think the hope is, though, that they're going to overreach, and that's going to cause them to become less popular among the people. You're already seeing it with the inflation and a lot of the crazy excesses of their power grabs. It's causing Trump to rise in the polls, and the Republican Party, despite its own best efforts, despite the Republican Party being very poor for many reasons and being dismal, it has a chance to take back the country in 2024 just because the Democrats are so insane, so extreme, so outrageous in what they're doing to try to destroy the country. So I'm going to refer to the chat here. Paula Nacky says she spoke with Representative Coleman today. Karen Wissett and other Dems negotiated the Reproductive Act. Taxpayer-funded abortions are no longer part of the bill. The 24-hour waiting period is in as well. asking if women have been coerced into having the abortion. Also, inspections and licensing will be introduced in an amendment. So it's looking like they will be able to get their abortion bill through, but some of the excesses of the bill have been chipped away at. So it's not as bad as it would have been if it was rammed through initially. I think we have to give Karen Whitsett some credit there for refusing to go along to get along with that entire ridiculous bill package, even though still a lot of bad things are going to be passed. Adam, can you hear me?
Well, that's great, guys. I rebooted my computer. It forced a whole update, so it took forever, and I still can't hear Shane.
Wow.
Okay, well, this blows. All right, we might have to actually do this. This is so stupid. I'm sorry, guys. I will put the I'll bring the house TV back on in a second too. Okay, Shane just called me. Shane, I'm gonna put you on speaker. The audio might bleed over into my mic a little bit, but at least I'll be able to hear you. Let me take one of my headphones out just to see if that helps. Hey, Shane, say something.
So how are you hearing me on Rescue Michigan?
I hear you. I'll push you a little further away from the microphone. At least this is working. This is totally stupid, I know, but at least I can hear you.
Okay, so in the chat, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me well? It's working. It's actually working.
You can put your phone down if you're on speaker. It should still be fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I still hear you. Okay.
Right, so hopefully this works. And
All right,
we
guys.
overcome our technical difficulties. Nothing can stop the Rescue Michigan podcast from pushing forward.
Yeah.
And defending the cause of liberty.
Might push us towards not using StreamYard in the future, but we'll see about that. Anyway, all right. I'm going to bring the house TV back up. We have, I assume, probably missed like a vote or something, but let's see here. House session. They are still going. Let me add this to the screen so we can see, and then I'll recap briefly what's been going on. So they passed all of the misdemeanor gun bills. So those were, let's see here. I had a file open that was keeping track of them. Hopefully I didn't lose that too. I didn't. Okay. Misdemeanor gun ban bills. There were 2 Republicans that voted yes. Those were Mark Tisdale and Thomas. Oh wait, I said that already. The election crimes protection bills, the ones that make it a crime to quote unquote intimidate poll workers as a poll challenger, like when you catch them breaking the law. Those were partisan votes. The Democrats all voted yes. The Republicans all voted no. Then, though, there was also a package of bills to mandate disclaimers and prohibit and criminalize ads that use AI and don't disclose them. And there was a retarded speech given by, I think Penelope Cernoglu is her name, where she was making some ridiculous talking points about Ron DeSantis when eventually, finally, Lori Putsky, that's the woman in the speaker's chair right there, gavelled her down because it was very obviously not even talking about the bill. But even that was jokey. She was, usually they're like, Representative, please keep your remarks to the text of the bill and the content of the bill. In this case, she was like, Representative, just kind of like nodded, like, come on. She was like, okay. And then she, proceeded. So stupid. So anyway, on that bill, which by the way, these bills are a problem because how do you know if a campaign is created with AI? Unless you have an investigation or you just bring charges like Dana Nessel might. I mean, this is all for abusive process and for interfering in the election.
And
but
does AI necessarily, does that mean like a Photoshop? Does that mean that, if you, dramatize something in a graphic, are you going to be called a criminal if you use those in different political advertisements from now on? Those are the things that I can see them attacking memes or something along those lines under, this new ridiculous law.
Yeah, that would be the issue, is obviously using Photoshop or in my case, PaintShop is not AI, but if Nestle brings charges against you, well, then you've been charged with election fraud and and by the time it's over, the election's over and it's already destroyed you. Anyway, so the Republicans voted yes on allowing Dana Nessel to rig the next election with prosecutorial abuse would be Matt Bierlein, I believe it's Brian Bagol, and of course, Bill Schuette. And then there was another part of that package, which was House Bills 5144 and 5145. And what these bills were, it was criminalizing felony criminalizing, quote unquote, materially false campaign ads. Well, who determines what's true or false? I mean, we have a legal standard, it's called defamation, but nope, defamation is a civil suit. This is a criminal bill. These are all wildly unconstitutional, by the way, folks. But guess what? Good luck finding someone to litigate it. You have to have the time, the money, everything else. But at that point, more rhinos jumped on. Nancy DeBoer, Mark Mueller, and of course, Mark Tisdall. Actually, wait, look, 5143 was those three. 5144, you had Matt Bierlein, Bill Schuette, Mike Mueller, and Brian Bagol. What else happened so far today? What's Jay DeBoer talking about? Hold on, let me bring this guy back up here. Let me unmute him. Let's see what's going on in the House TV, just because there's some kind of yammering going on.
Speaker recognizes Representative Coons.
Good evening, Madam Speaker and my esteemed colleagues. May I have permission to speak to both 4230 and 4234?
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you.
4230.
This is a discussion on the fairness, on the freedom, on the very sanctity of our democratic process. Automatic payroll deductions for political contributions raise major concerns about individual freedoms, about transparency, and the misuse of funds. It is imperative that we maintain a balance that respects the rights of the
bills to allow foreign unions to be spent on politics.
We need to ensure that the political contributions are made voluntarily, transparently, and in a manner that best represents the interests of the contributors. We are not in the business of allowing union bosses to snatch money away from the pockets of hardworking Michigan.
Okay, yeah, so we get the idea. This is a bill that literally would allow your union dues to be spent supporting Democrats in their campaigns. So we'll see how this vote goes. This, I expect, will be a partisan vote, but we'll see. Anyway, if you guys are interested, I mean, you can read the closed captioning. But back to the catching up. This is a funny scene I saw just an hour or so ago. You had Joe Aragona, whose voting record's fairly mediocre. He used to be a House staffer, by the way. They always make the best lawmakers. And when they were doing all these election fraud bills on AI, he had to stop between each one to ask that his name be removed as a co-sponsor of all the bills. Even though, by the way, the bills were always bad to begin with, but he was just now removing his name from them. And for some reason, there was some kind of running joke between him and Lori Pahutsky going on. So like after the third one, she's cracking up laughing because he, for some reason, has 3 sets of glasses on his face. He has 2 regular glasses and a pair of sunglasses. And anyway, it's all very funny in the House when they're passing legislation to, criminalize the political process and destroy your freedom of assembly. There's lots of jokes that can be had about sunglasses and shit in the meantime.
They're all yucking it up and having a great time, and that's bipartisanship. That's the sort of thing that we should find, according to our masters, we should be planning to see more of.
Yeah.
These different lawmakers making jokes, passing awful bills, screwing us all, and that's making it easier.
Yeah, maybe for the cold open on Sunday, I'll find that clip. Although I've already got some stuff for the cold open I wanted to use, but we'll see. Anyway, what else was there?
I'm sure she's saying something stupid.
Penelope Cernoglu. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, you want to hear her defend union bosses? You guys can read what she's saying.
Yeah.
All right.
Activities. To clear up any misconceptions being put out there, no one must opt in to this deduction. This just allows willing, voluntary participants to use automatic deductions should they so choose. Any costs associated with such deductions are negligible, and if not deemed negligible.
Hey, if you guys want, I would love, because I'd love to be able to offer you the option to have you voluntarily deduct a certain amount from your paycheck to go to the Rescue Michigan Coalition. It'd be so simple and easy. Wouldn't that be wonderful? I mean, it almost seems preferential to only allow union bosses to get that kind of treatment. But anyway, all right. Let's try to power through this. We're going to keep the video up because who knows? They might be going all night here. I mean, there's no end in sight, folks. Some of the other things they've passed. Let's see here. Oh, there was a partisan vote on an assault on the First Amendment rights of homeowners associations to prohibit putting solar cells on people's roofs. I mean, that's an obvious First Amendment contract law issue, freedom of association. There's a bill to increase court transcript fees, which, by the way, almost everybody supported. The only no votes were Steve Carra, is it Neil Frisky? Matt Maddock, of course, Brad Paquette, Josh Shriver. And oddly enough, Mark Tisdale voted no on that one. Then there was...
He's coming around.
Yeah, on one bill. Yeah, there's 4230. That's a nice description of it. Removes a prohibition against a deduction from an public employee's wages for political purposes. This, I have to believe this will be a partisan vote. But there was a vote on some stupid nurses program that had a strange vote, actually. There was people in support and in opposition from both parties. It still passed overwhelmingly. I think the Democrats voted no because it infringed on the nurses union boss's turf, but then the Republicans voted no on it because it's just a stupid government program. Then there was a great speech from Brad Paquette. By the way, Nikki Coons is asking, is red a no vote? Yes, that's correct. Red is no, green is yes, white is they haven't voted yet. Senate Bills 395, 396 just passed, lowering standards for teacher evaluations and actually punishing good teachers and rewarding bad teachers. Naturally, all the Democrats voted yes. That was a partisan vote, though. The Republicans all managed to vote no on that one. There was votes on Senate Bill 385, which would allow applications for poll workers to be submitted electronically, not written in handwriting. So if, say, you're a Democrat organization and you just want to mass apply people in bulk, like they did in Detroit in 2020, where just a whole bunch of students, high school students, signed up to be poll workers. This would make it so they didn't even need to actually do it themselves. The Democrats could just do it for them. And almost everyone in that, including the Republicans, voted yes. The only ones that have any brains on that bill were Alexander, Beeler, Bazad, Bolin, Fink, Fox, Frisky, Phil Green, Steve Carra, DeSanta, Matt Hall, Strangely, Sarah Leitner, Matt Maddock, Brad Paquette, Josh Shriver, Doug Wozniak, and Dale Zorn. So most Republicans voted for a bill whose only purpose is to electorally benefit Democrats. I mean, and that's what some of these guys have been doing all night. And then right before we came on, there were votes on Senate Bills 572 and 573, which are bills to correct a screw up the Democrats themselves made a few months ago. They passed bills to increase the size of voting precincts from 3,000 to 5,000, which of course is just to make it so that every precinct has more ground to cover. And when they passed that bill earlier this year, they screwed up because Proposal 2 only allowed the precinct size to be 4,999 votes. So they had two bills to correct their screw up and reduce the size down from 5,000 to 4,999. And only a handful of Republicans voted no on that. Like, I think 8 of them did. So that's where we are now, folks. And we are still going to be going. We still have the energy bills. We still have the pro abort bill. So anyway, we're keeping an eye on this. But anyway, 23 minutes in, technical difficulties, and just catching up on what's happened so far tonight. And yeah, anyway, I think we were supposed to talk about geopolitics tonight. How's it going, Shane? How you been, man? It's been a few weeks.
Good. Just been busy.
Yep.
Ready to actually go to a political conference in Serbia tomorrow. So.
Oh wow.
I'll be speaking there with International Patriot organization that has different members from people in different parties across Europe. So I'm going to be speaking on a panel about what's going on for American politics at that conference.
Wow, cool. So you haven't had any trouble coming back into the country? You've been to some of these international conferences and stuff. I feel like if I was to leave the country, I'd have trouble getting back in because I didn't get my vaccine passport. So, but that's okay. They let Americans back in now.
I had no vaccine.
Oh boy.
Right now, I had that last time. Getting out of the country. I definitely.
Hey Shane, you know what? Now I hear you, but the audience can't because you're muted. So, and that's on you, buddy. So. No, you're muted on StreamYard.
I thought that.
Yeah, you have to unmute yourself. There you go. All right, say that all again now.
Okay, so yeah, just going to a conference in Serbia. Don't anticipate that I will get arrested or not detained or not allowed, out of the country or back into the country. But you never know. You never know in this day and age. But I think a lot of the vaccine hoopla has died down, so I don't anticipate any pushback.
Well, cool. Excellent, man. Well, it's been a pretty insane week in geopolitics. Well, it's been a pretty insane year in geopolitics. While the Democrats are destroying Michigan right before our eyes, Joe Biden is destroying the whole country right before our eyes. And I mean, it's kind of a lot of things that are compounding. I mean, first off, there's Ukraine. Now there's this conflict in the Middle East. And I don't know, maybe Shane, you want to set the table for us here about what's been happening in Israel and in Gaza. But I mean, just to kind of, well, I mean, let's start with this point. The entire world is moving away from us at a pace we've never seen before. And in the entire history of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, until very recently, we've been like the 800-pound gorilla. And everyone in the world takes our calls. Everyone in the world respects our opinion. Now we're seeing all kinds of world leaders just being straight up rude, even to Joe Biden. They're like, "Screw you." We saw this with El-Sisi in Egypt, and at the UN, more and more countries are not voting with us on these resolutions, and it's a sign that our clout in the world is just diminishing. And at the same time, there seems to be a war escalating that could break out any minute. Like right now, it's incredibly violent between Israel and Hamas, but anytime now, Hezbollah could get in, Iran could get in, Saudi Arabia could get in. Yemen, apparently, there's like the Houthi movements talking about getting involved. There's been attacks on military bases in Iraq. And I mean, the situation is getting worse and worse and worse. And all I can see from Biden, and by the way, from Israel, is just doubling down. Like there's no reverse gear on these people. There's no let's have peace talks. Every other country, Russia, China, India, everyone's like, let's take it down. Let's have a peace conference. Let's have a ceasefire. And we're the ones going, no ceasefire. Don't do that. Like, how many more wars are we going to get into before Joe Biden's term is over?
I think a lot of it has to do with, they want to do the war frenzy. They want, Joe Biden to be a wartime president. They want people to fall for the war propaganda because there's not, anything that they can point to in terms of domestic achievements or anything getting better. Since he's taken over, everything has gotten drastically worse. Yeah. And, any rosy, picture they try to paint on it, it doesn't pass the smell test for ordinary Americans who are paying double for, goods that they need at the supermarket. And just watching, their government decay and watching, a bumbling old man up there who can barely spit out a sentence. So it's such a disgrace that I think they're trying to get people to become, jump into this war fervor, whether it was, the Ukraine thing that has kind of waned as it's become more obvious that Ukraine cannot win that war. And I think everyone but Zelensky knows that at this point. And now it's the turmoil with Hamas and Israel, and they're trying to bring back a lot of the post 9/11 type propaganda to get people hooked into that. I don't think that's going to work because Biden and a lot of ways is seen as, a weak president from what he did in Afghanistan, from, giving Iran their money back and stuff like that. So he can't really run as a president who's tough on Islamic terrorism, because, he shifted the focus away from Islamic terrorism to MAGA patriots nationally and internationally. So he's looking the other way on that stuff. So I don't see that working either. So I think the next thing that they will do is they will start the war with China over Taiwan. Paint it that Biden is so strong going after China and stomping out Chinese totalitarianism. It's counterintuitive because the Democrats are so in bed with China, but they're really just running out of any sort of other options to stay in power, other than to start these insane wars and then try to bamboozle the American public, through their media propagandists to go along with it. And before 2024. So I expect China versus Taiwan to be the next provoked conflict that the U.S. will have their hands all over.
Yeah, hey, 2 wars not going well. Why not make it 3? and there was an incident, I think this past week, where the official story was some Chinese plane almost hit our own plane in the South China Sea. And of course, the actual story was, I think Thought Crimes is coming up. Hold on. Let's see what this is. Let's go real quick back to the House and see what they're doing here, because this might be something important.
The
I
amendment.
think I saw they said
Clerk will open the board.
4474.
The amendment is adopted. Are there further amendments?
I think
There
this is
being
Thought
no
Crimes.
further amendments, the question for the House is advancing the bill to the order of third reading. Hearing no objection, the bill is on third reading. Speaker recognizes Majority Floor Leader Wilson.
Continuing the order of second reading of the bills, I move to take up calendar item number 92, House Bill 4275.
No,
Without objection,
4275.
so ordered. The
What's
clerk will
this?
read.
Calendar item number
Creating a
92, House
revenue
Bill
sharing trust
4275, introduced by Representative Tisdale.
Boring.
To amend the General Sales Tax Act, People's State of Michigan, enact.
This bill is co-sponsored by a bunch of
read for a
Republicans.
second time by its title.
Primary
Are there
sponsor is
amendments?
Mark Tisdale.
There are amendments. The clerk will read.
Oh,
Creating a local
Republican,
government
another
fiscal finance
bipartisan
officer
achievement
will
for
chair
our
recommend
Republican
the adoption
caucus. God
of
bless them.
substituting
They're
three.
working for us.
The question for the House is the adoption of the substitute.
A
The clerk will
revenue
open the
sharing
board.
trust
The
fund.
substitute is adopted. Are there further amendments? There being no
Now let's
further
see if we're gonna
amendments,
go
the
to
question
votes
for the
now.
House is the advancing of the bill to the order of third reading. Hearing no objection, the bill is on third reading.
Oh, they're moving bills to third readings. It's not going to be a roll call vote. Just a second. I think the one I just read before that was 4474, the Thought Crimes bill. I bet I bet all of these are going to be voted on later tonight. Is my suspicion. 4274, the 4274 that just said. Let's see what that one is. Oh, that's the same thing. Revenue sharing trust fund. Okay. Anyway, what were we talking about again? Oh yeah, foreign policy. Yeah, I mean, what in the world do you think is going to happen if we go to war with Russia, China, Iran, and the rest of the Arab and Muslim world? That's like most of the world's population right there. But I think, there's something to what you said though, which is Joe Biden was counting on being a war president and cruising into re-election on the grounds that he destroyed Russia and stopped the Russian threat, when what's actually been happening is Russia is kicking the crap out of Ukraine, and it just gets worse and worse by the day. I mean, there was a story, I don't know if you guys saw this story in, I believe it was in Time magazine. Let me see if I can find the Time story. Yeah, okay, I've got it here. Let me get rid of the House for a second. And this is the story, which it's almost peculiar how it makes it sound like Zelensky has a certain similarity to the last days of Hitler's Germany, with these comments from the Ukrainian military. And here's what it says. Where's the comment here? How's the president feeling? Angry. And he walks in, gets the updates, gives the orders, and walks out. And he says he deludes himself. One of his closest aides tells me in frustration, "We're out of options. We're not winning." But try telling him that. Zelensky's stubbornness, some of his aides say, has hurt their team's effort to come up with a new strategy, a new message. And as they debate the future of the war, one issue has remained taboo: the possibility of negotiating a peace deal with Russians. Judging by recent surveys, most Ukrainians would reject such a move, especially until the loss of any occupied territory. Zelensky remains dead set against it, so he's just going on.
Yeah, he'll send as many of his people to the front lines, as many young men to die on the front lines as possible in the name of supporting the globalists. I mean, he has no connection to his people, so he'll just keep sending them into the meat grinder and going and begging for money and then pocketing that money, I'm sure. So the big difference.
That was in that article too. There's one point where they say everyone's stealing everything like there's no tomorrow.
The biggest difference, though, between Zelensky and Adolf Hitler is that Hitler, when the mad dictator, when he went down, when everything fell apart for him, he had to take the cyanide pill because there was no escaping the culpability for his crimes. But Zelensky will be, he'll have a golden parachute. He'll be allowed to strut out there, regardless of what happens. He'll be given shelter or something because he serves the globalists and he's above the law. He's part of their big club.
Who knows? But hey, speaking, since you said something about putting more men into the meat grinder, he does have a new idea. Let's do some. Let's watch the video and then I'll tell you what they said.
Справжня жінка повинна бути розпусницею в
I don't know if
ліжку,
you guys can hear this.
господинею на кухні
But this is the ad.
і
It's only 50
захисницею
seconds.
на фронті.
What
Вступай
the
до
ad said was,
ЗСУ.
first it says, as the woman's undressing, it says, a woman's place is to be passionate in the bedroom, and then it goes to when it has her feeding the kid, and to be a gracious hostess in the kitchen, and then when it has her in the military uniform, and to defend the country. They're going hard at recruiting women now because they're running out of men to send into the front lines. And,
well, that's equality. I mean, that's the feminist dream. Is that
it's incredible? Hey Shane, I'm not hearing you on my phone anymore. Let me see. Is my
Oh yeah, can you hear me now?
Now I hear you. Yeah, I hear you.
Okay,
now.
but yeah, that's the feminist dream is to allow women. They have all the same responsibilities and duties and abilities that men have. So when their government goes psychotic and sends everyone to die and in a war for insane reasons, women get to die too. So isn't equality grand?
Yeah. It's unreal. But anyway, so getting back to what this all means, though, because there's no good use from Ukraine at all. I mean, they covertly sent them, interestingly, it's called the ATACMS missiles, these missiles that are supposed to be, they're very long-range cruise missiles. They're going to be the latest game changer, after the Leopard tanks were the game changer and those didn't work. And then the Challenger tanks were the game changer and those didn't work. And the Storm Shadow missiles and everything else, the game changers all failed. So the newest one is the ATACMS missiles. And Russia didn't even blink. They've been destroying them left and right. They just intercept them. And Biden has no plan, no path at all for any of this. And it's the amazing thing too, though, because now it's like, okay, well, we're not going to win this one, but let's still be on war footing. But there's no plan for Israel either. Like, what's their end game? And as far as we can tell, all Biden's just saying is whatever Israel wants, Israel gets. Whatever Israel wants to do is what we're going to do. Behind the scenes, there's other things going on, but as far as the public face goes, it's just, let's just let Israel carry on. And if they're, dropping bombs on, say, a refugee camp and killing hundreds of people like they did today, and yesterday, they dropped the bomb yesterday, and then they dropped another bomb on the same refugee camp again today, overwhelmingly killing women and children. Hey, well, you know what? This will be fine. This will be fine. This won't lead to any escalation or anything. And it's like, at what point do people say these leaders are insane? They're going to get us into more and more wars that we're not going to get any. We have no way out of any of this.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the propaganda we've seen a real backsliding among the Republican Party and the American right wing.
It's heartbreaking.
Where the neocon BS is back, and you've seen the climbing up in the polls, the psychotic warmonger Nikki Haley. She's ahead of Ron DeSantis in certain polls now because she's just given that red meat Bush era. We're gonna stop the terrorists and we're gonna fight them over there and fight Iran and all this other crazy stuff, forgetting of what a disaster Afghanistan was, what a disaster Iraq was, what a disaster Libya was. So every time we go into the Middle East, it's a disaster. And now so many Republicans want to go back and get into another mishap. And the defense contractors are, of course, licking their chops over this stupidity.
Yeah, it's always from the posture that we have infinite resources when we obviously don't. We've run out of things to send to Ukraine. We Biden himself admitted we've given them all the shells we can. Now we're giving them cluster bombs because we have nothing else to give them. And now we're going like, hey, Israel, we can probably give you some air support, but we're kind of low on shells at the moment. Hope you don't need any shells. And by the way, I know you guys love cluster bombs there, but we're kind of out of those too. And the world's looking at this and they're going, you know what? Some of our countries do have militaries. China has a military. Russia has a military. In fact, I don't know if you saw this. This blew my mind. I gotta pull this headline up because I couldn't believe it when I saw it. It is from U.S. News World Report, and this is just a couple of days ago. Let me switch to this tab here, and I've got the story up here someplace. I'm just scrolling through my Twitter feed here, so I find it. It wasn't that far down. Hold on. Where is it? Anyway, the story was a U.S. News and World Report ranking of militaries, and it ranked the United States military second place. Let me find this here. U.S. News. Yeah, I mean, if you okay, here we go. I found the article. Let me pull this up here. Here we go. These countries have the strongest militaries. This is literally U.S. News World Report. This is not Russian propaganda. This is American propaganda. And Russia is rated a stronger military than we have in an American publication. When was the last American publication that didn't say we have the strongest military in the world? The answer is never. Never. And now this is what U.S. media is saying. So we're going to go around the world policing the whole world when Russia, China have bigger militaries than we do. And, you know, by the way, Iran's nothing to slouch at. Egypt and Turkey, they have militaries too. And if they get into this conflict, if they don't slow this down, I mean, there could be a world war. A lot of these countries have nuclear weapons. Russia has them. China has them. Certainly Israel has them. I think, does Turkey have nuclear weapons? I think they do. Yeah, this could just kill us all if we don't slow this down. It's insane. It is absolutely insane. And to get back to what you were talking about earlier, the censorship, it's so outrageous. I mean, Nikki Haley coming up in the polls, I think part of that's consolidation. She has clearly become the neocons' favorite. We saw this week Mike Pence dropped out. And what's his face? Tim Scott's gone nowhere. So the never Trump establishment, they've chosen their candidate. And I think with DeSantis, we see this desperate flailing because his campaign has just been falling apart for the last 6 months. So now he's trying to go neocon. It's not going to work. It's just making people like me who used to respect him just be sickened. You know, with his talking about the West Bank and Gaza, calling them Judea and Samaria, just pandering for that for that neocon vote. I mean, come on. Like he's not going to out neocon Nikki Haley.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason why Trump is the peace candidate is not because he necessarily has a deep understanding of what's going on in the Middle East or anything like that. I think it's because he's just not very interested in all these different affairs and the entanglements and the what's happening over there. I think he cares more about American domestic policy. Always is talking about trade. So just because he's uninterested in these kind of adventures and doesn't really want to be involved as much, that makes him de facto the peace candidate compared to every other potential person who could get elected, in either major party. So That's why Trump is the America First peace candidate, because he doesn't want to, he doesn't want to. He's less apt to get involved in these things, and if he does get involved, he'll do a bombing, and that'll be it. It won't be a sustained campaign meant to, nation build or have some sort of grandiose, political ambition behind it. So vote Trump.
Well, oh, hold on. Have we been falling behind here? What else do we have going on there? Okay, they're just on break right now. I'll take them back off again. Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, it's sad because Trump clearly doesn't have very much. He doesn't have any kind of principled opposition to all this militarism. But it's kind of like, well, he's the least worst, and I hate to be in that position anymore. But our RFK has hardly been any better, and also RFK, I think, threw his campaign away when he decided he's not going to run Democrat anymore. Now he's going to take votes away from Trump instead of taking votes away from Biden.
Yeah, seems like that might be controlled opposition there. I mean, he's got a good
he fired Dennis Kucinich, who was someone who was passionately anti-war from running his campaign, and instead brought in his, I think, CIA daughter-in-law or something like that to run his campaign now.
Yeah, so it shows a shift. Who knows if they got to him or whatever, but he's terrible on most of the issues.
Although I think the thing about Trump that's good about him is he has an instinct to be a deal maker, which translates well into foreign policy, because diplomacy is the art of making a deal. It's like, okay, we have competing objectives. Let's come to an agreement. Let's do what's best. So he has these instincts, but at the same time, well, we'll see what actually happens. Although, frankly, Trump infuriated me this week when he made this campaign speech where he says, "These idiots who thought I was going to build the wall and make Mexico pay for," and according to him, part of it. He rewrote history. I remember him saying, "We're going to build the wall and make Mexico pay for part of it." But he gives this speech and he says, "Yeah, remember all those times I said we're going to build the wall and make Mexico pay for part of it? Well, these idiots who believe me didn't realize there's legal hurdles we had to climb that he could have climbed but didn't." So I don't know, man. I am just so over the presidential race at this moment. It's sad. I don't even know where to go at this point.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty dismal, but I think also a really important reason to support Trump is just look at, if Trump is able to overcome all the different things that they're doing to him, the Soviet-style probes, the concocting of these crimes and all the stuff. I mean, they're desperate to keep him out of there. If he's able to overcome that, that's a huge wound to the heart of the deep state and the globalist establishment. So he's, more than the substance. You're just pushing this guy forward. If he's able to overcome this, that's going to be really damage their power and their ability to destroy people in the political process. So I think if him winning could be a stepping stone to anti-establishment figures being able to rise, who might have better substance and have more consistency as leaders down the line.
Yeah, I hope so. And it's not like automatically just because injustice is being done to you that means you deserve to be president, but at the same time, it's also like, we have to oppose these depredations of the Constitution, which are happening all the time, everywhere. I mean, this is what they're doing in Lansing right now as we speak, and it's repulsive.
Yep, and also just sticking it to the neocons and the far left liberals.
Yeah,
just to watch them suffer. And with a Trump victory would be spectacular.
Yeah, we do have to keep control of the GOP from the neocons. It was a wonderful foothold that Trump got in 2016, and we need to keep it that way. And I don't know quite what to think about Mike Johnson just yet, because he made some rhetorical remarks after he got elected speaker that made me hesitate. But apparently now he's holding up Ukraine aid and saying that we need to decouple it from Israel, and Ukraine is bleeding support among the Republicans in Congress. So that's a good sign. But we'll see. We'll see what he does. I think we should probably wait until the budget bills come through to decide about Mike Johnson.
Yeah, I'm definitely cautiously optimistic. And I think it's regardless of, he could totally blow it. And, he has a decently conservative record and totally backstab that. But just the fact that got rid of a proven establishment hack, liar, rhino, and Kevin McCarthy, and replaced him with someone who, at least record-wise, is much more conservative. That's a big victory for Gates and for the America First people in the House. They were derided by so many mainstream pundits and even supposed patriots. Even Trump was against it, against ousting McCarthy, and I think Thomas Massey was too. So there was a lot of good people who thought this was too bold, too brash. But no, it wasn't. I mean, you have to be willing to use the power that you have to shake things up, or it's just going to be the same go along to get along type of thing. So it's really vindicated the approach of being more combative, confrontational politics, as you've been preaching for so long. That's what you have to do, is you have to force these confrontations. You have to pull the rug out from under your political opposition, intra-party and out of the party whenever you can. And this was a big success, regardless of how Mike Johnson is a speaker, a huge success for America First.
Yeah, I mean, the ousting of Kevin McCarthy, and for that matter, the challenging of Kevin McCarthy in January. I thought those were both very high risk plays that Matt Gaetz made, and yet they both seem to have paid off. So it's pretty amazing. It's heartening, and the guy seems to know what he's doing. So that's all encouraging. But you know what? And by the way, they're still at ease at the call of the chair in the House. Who knows? They're gonna be going late tonight probably. But I'll tell you what, folks, between the technical difficulties and everything else that's been going on and trying to do three things at once here, and you see we're having audio issues, video issues. I am inclined to call it a stream at this point, Shane, if that's all right with you. And maybe, if not this Sunday, sometime next week, we can have a conversation. We catch up on more things and in maybe a slightly better environment, because this is, I don't know. I feel kind of disjointed. I'm not used to listening to you over a phone as the video's fading in from blurry to light and dark and all this other crap is going on. And meanwhile, I'm scribbling notes about what the House is doing and what I got to do for tomorrow. Look, folks, we will see where the dust settles tomorrow on all these stupid bills. I think some of these Republicans need to be held to account. We talked last week about how 6 Republicans in the House sponsored a bill to make it so that you could be disqualified from owning a firearm for a federal gun ban. And some of the geniuses who were saying that this is a good strategy were saying, oh, this will stop them from passing the misdemeanor gun ban, which obviously it did not. I mean, these people are insane. And the Republicans, that is, thinking that they have some kind of strategy, it's all blowing up in their faces. And some of these,
we need some people to emerge as primary challengers against these.
It's time to start thinking about primarying some of these people. Rochester Hills, get yourself a better state rep, or at least give Mark Tisdale a run for his money. Same for you folks who are represented in the House by Thomas Kuhn or Kuntz, or both of them. They both have mediocre records. Mike Mueller, people in Linden. Come on, we can do better. I mean, it's one thing if you're in a swing district. Some of you guys are in districts that are hardcore Republican districts, and you've got guys voting no or voting with Democrats all the time. Senator Roger Victory. But anyway, hey, Barry says still a great show. Thank you, Barry. We will try to be more prepared next time. Although, whatever is going on with StreamYard, I have no idea. This is ridiculous. So I have to do an early start next time to try to work these things out. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will give you a full report on Thursday's email blast. Until next time, Shane, I don't mean to cut you off. You have anything more you want to add for tonight for our people tuning in?
Nothing that's too pressing. Y'all come on again soon. We'll talk more about foreign policy and what's going on there, and be more in depth on that.
I was looking forward to doing a talk about foreign policy, because almost always on the weekends we're doing domestic stuff, and what's happening in Israel and Gaza and Ukraine. I mean, I probably read like 150 battlefield reports a day, and I just don't ever talk about it, because it all boils down to everything's going totally haywire every which way. And it's frustrating, but at some point we should do a deeper dive. So, hey man, thank you for joining me, and thank you guys all in the chat and tuning in on Rumble. Well, by the way, I'm sorry folks on Rumble. I was so distracted with the TV monitor screwing up and the other monitor having the house floor. I was not able to see your comments tonight. Sorry, folks. That is unfortunately a problem with Rumble. They need to somehow integrate with StreamYard and other platforms and not be weird the way they are. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you. We'll have another show on Sunday, and I'm sure we'll have Shane back on again soon. Until next time, peace out.